Hey everybody, I want to welcome you back to another edition of Printing's Alive. And you got it. We got a special guest, another one, because everybody's special that makes it on this podcast. Today we have the man of color. I say that because his color history goes way back, tell us. But we got Mark Geeves from Color-Logic. What's happening, Mr. Jeeves?
Hey Warren, how are you?
Oh, I'm good now that you're here.
Yeah, I've been just dreaming about this now.
Yeah, ever since I asked you, it's like all you've been able to do. It's great. So, everybody or a lot of people know you, but there's a lot of people who don't know you. Can you give us a little bit of who you are, where you were, what you're doing?
Sure. My name is Mark Geeves. I'm currently Director of Sales and Marketing for Color-Logic and Touch 7. I'm also one of the co-founders. My background is color, as you just mentioned. I got into this industry by accident, joining a little company called X-Rite. And they were little when I started because they didn't even make instruments at the time, hardly. So that's my background is color measurement. I stayed with X-Rite for almost 17 years, left them, went to a few other companies. My other company I had was called Best Color, which maybe some people would remember. We sold that off to EFI back in 2004. I worked for a few other companies in technology. And then Richard Ainge and I started this company in 2009. Such a great choice to start a company in 2009, by the way.
That was the same year I did an $8 million expansion and moved in to the new place the same day Lehman Brothers went bust. So yeah, I remember that period very well.
We had no revenue, no product, and an idea that Richard came up with.
Cool. And so, but the idea and the product is here today.
Yes, 16 years we've been doing this. 16.
Wow. So I'm going to ask you what the product is, and I also just want to let everyone know that Mark sells this product direct, but he also works with all the OEMs who will bundle it into their machines and work directly with their customers. So everything's pretty much open book. And you know what? Tell us the product and tell it what it does, how it works, because it is pretty awesome.
Okay. Well, it is a system. It's not a product. What it is, it's a system of how to work with metallic inks or metallic substrates. And the good news is it's on every printing process that has silver ink with CMYK on paper or on a metallic surface with white plus CMYK. It's a color system. And then the next thing is it's our design suite that has these effects to do with those inks. And then we have a visualization tool that allows you to visualize those effects. And last but not least, we have a lot of training and marketing tools to help our customers go to market. So it's a systematic approach. Well, and it didn't start out that way. We learned, okay? I mean, 16 years and we're still doing things to get better.
But that's the world of print, right? We're always learning. Something's always changing. Something's always an addition. And something small, something big.
Yeah, and we came in conventional. Cool. We were in conventional printing. That's where we started most, and we still are. Packaging is a big market for us. Flexo. We do gravure, wide web, etc. But when Richard designed the system, we designed it so it would work with digital too. And digital, we have more connection points, but most of our volume is still in conventional printing.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I think what we hear a lot about within the print world, the trade world, we hear a lot about embellishments. We hear a lot about digital. And that seems to be where the focus is. We're not hearing about conventional. We're not hearing about long runs. So my first question to you, because you've been in color for so long, is what exactly qualifies as an embellishment? Like, to me, I think when I hear embellishments and I go back to my offset days, that's embossing, die cut, a hot stamp, right? Something like that. Not necessarily a fifth color, even put a coating on it or do something to that fifth color. But what's your take on embellishments?
Yeah, I mean, I come from color measurement, so I'm pretty picky about certain things. So if you ever look at our system that we've started, we don't say we do embellishment. I've basically adopted because everybody's talking the same way, so I just jump in. But we say special effects because our term is like what you're probably believing. when you're putting something on top that gives distortion, gives a visual change, could be a feel, it could be also a cutout, right? Something that changes the product to become a product. When I deal with colors, like why we came up with our color system was because Pantone had a good system for offset, but it didn't help us with digital. It didn't help us for flexo. It didn't help us. So we had to come up with a color system. So we call it colors. That's not, and so everybody thinks we have palettes. Yes, we have palettes, but we don't call them effects. We don't call them anything as embellishment. What we do is we take that white and the silver and we use that as an underlay in our technology, and I think we're the only people doing that today, that creates an optical illusion. So basically we have palettes that create optical illusions that allow a designer at any level to do it with 1 or 2 mouse clicks inside Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign. So I agree with you there, but hey, I can't lose out and say, oh, well, you don't have it. Well, I just jump on the bandwagon. But we call our special effects for print. It's always in our logo and our banner. But we also, I can tell you, I've done a lot of videos just so I can say, yes, embellishment. But I'm talking about really our effects, not our color.
Yeah, and so I'm wearing my Embellish Me t-shirt because truth is I'm a high def guy. I love high quality. I love everything flash in the pan, the whole marketing aspect. But I'm sitting here today as a printer thinking about other printers. And I find now that there's a lot of talk about embellishment. There's a lot of pressure on people for the embellishment or to invest in it. And, it's super expensive. So I just want to make sure I try to put out some good information, talking to different people, so that the people that are thinking of potentially getting into something have what to think about and ask all the right questions, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no runway anymore to make expensive mistakes that are either $7,000 or 700 grand. We don't have it.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, why do embellish matter in today's marketplace landscape?
Well,
Or do they? I'm just.
You know what? It all comes down, and again, this is from our packaging side. Brand drives demand. This is something I've been saying for 100 years. And when we would go to the brands, big or small, what we found out is every one of them wanted differentiation. They wanted a wow factor over the competition. The next thing they asked, though, was pretty funny. They go, well, it has to be economical. Well, that sort of goes the wrong way. And then the third thing was faster time to market. And some of the times we're dealing with brands who might have a 42-week cycle to get to market. Well, okay, that's one thing. But when you're in digital, your cycle's a day, an hour, 3 hours. So, it's all over the place with regard to that. But brand. And it can be also a brand, could be a wedding, could be the mother's invitation. It could be the bar mitzvah invitation. It could be the graduation announcement, right? That everybody has a brand today. And that's the other thing is, it's not just about, no offense, I've been in this industry a while. I'm the target market, as I always say, for retirement homes and maybe a few other type of homes. We got to remember that the buying power is now the millennials and the Gen X. They don't like anything if somebody else has the same thing. And I got 2 of them. So The idea is now digital opens up some neat applications for niche marketing for that market space. You know what? Silver and gold. I mean, Burl Ives back in the old days, if you remember that, silver and gold, silver. Yeah. Guess what? That's not what the world's about. We have 924 colors with our system now.
How many?
924 using a silver ink with CMY on top or on a metallic stock. Why? Well, we came out with 250, and then all of a sudden, everybody said, well, you've only got 20 golds. So what do you want more of? Oh, we need more golds. Oh, so we added 30 more. And a play on words, we now have 50 shades of gold. Some people might use that. My wife's the president, so she likes to say that one.
Right. She's allowed.
But then all of a sudden we went in and we started talking to some of our larger brand clients, and they said, Mark, we got to have more earth tone colors. And I go, what? Well, again, they were playing on the millennials and the Gen X's. They needed those metallic colors that didn't conflict with their CMYK process colors or their spot colors. They needed something more earth tone. It fit into that market. So we have 924 colors because that's what brands want. And we're seeing it being used.
That's a lot of color. So explain to me, for the people that aren't might not understand, people will get your system, and how do you get those colors?
Sure. You know what? And I'm glad you bring this up because I got to tell you, I have little booklets that actually have, we used to call them color keys in the days. I actually have a book. We print silver base, but we don't flood the silver. We screen the silver. And then we print cyan, magenta, yellow, and black on top. And those CMYK inks are translucent. Black is not as translucent, but CMY, they're transparent and translucent. So anything underneath them shines through. And so that's the idea is we print silver first with CMYK, or on a metallic stock, we screen the white if we're doing an effect. If it's a color, we don't. We just put CMY on top, and we put small percentages of it, or the right percentages, to give a luster. So just because a lot of people will take a Pantone book and try to print on top of silver, that will fail miserably because it wasn't designed for it. Not because it's a problem of Pantones. It wasn't designed for it. Yeah. Most people don't know silver ink has 30% black in it. That's technical, but guess what? You print more silver down, guess what happens? It gets duller.
Wow. And okay, so and you said you have an online visual tool.
Yeah, you know, about a year after we started the company, I'd go into people and we were trying to use inkjet to make proofs. And we got close. It's what I call an effect proof. It wasn't color accurate because ICC profiling, you hear all that stuff if you're in the print industry. ICC and metallics means I can't calculate. It don't work. And if you doubt,
I wish I knew that before. That's so good.
And if you doubt that, I'd be happy to talk to you offline. Yes, you can measure it, but what the heck you do with it, I don't know. That's another issue. So that's what it is all about. So the one thing about when you deal with metallics, you need to print your color charts or your swatch books off the press to be color accurate. So yeah.
Wow. So do your customers then and take your files and make color swatch books?
Yeah. And just because at your age I got you a big one, you know, they print big swatch books or small swatch books, chromatically aligned, monochromatic, all this fun stuff. But then they hand that off to the designer. And now, since it came off the press, if color management really works, if calibration and printing the color charts and keeping your press calibrated really works, G7, everything else, then guess what? These colors will be reproduced again. So yeah, it's a color accurate system. Comes off the press.
Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
But again, that's not the solution. The solution is these effects.
Right. Wow. So that's pretty incredible. You could take a silver or a gold and have whatever, your 50 or 100 variations of color.
We don't use gold.
Oh, you make gold.
Yes. That's what I love.
Well, okay, I meant though you have whatever multiple variations of the color that could be used in different ways. You could even use different golds on the same sheet without changing much because it's the same underlay, just a different screen in that area.
Absolutely. We put a little white in there and we let the designer do some very creative things. Yeah. But the nice thing, what I did bring up is, you know, about gold. We're not against gold. We just use silver to get there. And it is interesting that you see so many people in digital think they have to buy gold to produce gold. Whereas offset guys sort of look at you and go, what? Well, we just, unless it's a corporate spot color they wanted to have or something.
Listen, I mean, you know, I would recommend to people that they, you know, get the you know, look at the presses. You don't need all this for the golds and all the other additionals. As a printer, by the way, talking to other printers, you got to watch your money. So you got to see what you're getting for what you're getting, dollars for product, and what you really are you going to be able to sell it. So I'll come back to the money part a little later. Let me ask you, because you've been in it from the beginning, that sounds better than so
I don't
long.
know about that.
That sounds better than for so long. And I didn't refer to you as the old guy like I have some other people. But so what's the difference, do you think, between digital embellishments like a Scodex MGI versus conventional like foil stamping and embossing?
Say that one more time, because I always like to be clear on these.
What's the difference between digital embellishments, the Scodex MGIs, versus going and doing them conventional with foil stamping and or like embossing?
Well, it's sort of interesting. Obviously, digital, like you're stocking with the MGIs and the Scodex and the Duplos and others, they give you a lot of versatility. I mean, they got the ability to control the thickness and those kind of things, and that gives you more tactile effect, et cetera. And they're doing foiling, et cetera. When you get into conventional printing processes, they can't simulate that very well. They can put a varnish down, they can put something down, but they can't get that height. And if they, so there's a limitation there. So a lot of times what's interesting is all of a sudden you see it done on digital, but can that work be switched over to a conventional printing process? That's
not if you've got the raised. Well, the other thing is, even if you could get the raised, I guess you'd be slowed down in finishing because of all of that. Like, I don't think people recognize, can't speak today, but I don't think people realize when they're getting into digital and embellishments, and maybe they're buying a small knife, if you've got 17 or 20 microns or 40 microns on a fish, you could only cut the 100, 200, 300 sheets at a time. So if you've got a decent size order, better factor in all that cutting time because it is slower. And I do think that you probably end up smashing a few of them. They don't come out perfect, right? Whereas the conventional, it's a lot faster and it just moves a lot quicker.
And the brand, we deal with a lot of brands. It's just not economical to do that. But on the other side of it is you're also seeing digital get a bigger sheet now. There's several, they got the inkjet, which a lot of them maybe don't have the specialty color like silver or white, and they're using the foil and the, from Scodex and Duplo and everybody and MGI on top of it. So that opens it up because those are wider engines. They got more sheets they can pass through, more things versus a 1319, for example.
Yeah, for me, and again, I love the color, the shine, the bling, and everything. But as a printer, I see the digital embellishments in the small to short run market only. I think if you have a product that you're going to do packaging, whatever, and you want it to go retail, you just can't afford it, right? Nor can you afford the time it takes to do all of that if you have some volume.
Well, and like I told you, wow factor, economics, and then the third one is time to market. And I'll tell you, even with us, when just conventional, we'll work with a brand on a label or a carton, and they want to do it metallic, substrate with white and get the bling, it stands out. Then all of a sudden, they go through the budget and they go, well, that's not going to make it. So now we're going to move that and move it with silver, And that happens a lot. Or a product comes out, it's first premium, and so it's done with the metallic substrate, and then 6 months later, it moves down.
Right.
So that's good. And that's one thing about conventional printing we benefit from, because one design from us can be printed either way. So we only make one extra plate on the flexo or the offset press to go from metallic substrate or on paper with silver ink.
Wow. Okay, so if someone's on using your software, how long does it take to change colors and to do all that?
I can do it. That's how bad it is. Seriously, if you've printed it.
I only ask that because I'm doing some little stuff that I'm playing around with, and I'm not enjoying it because it's not so small.
We've been in it so long. Sometimes we're so close to it. We've been doing this 16 years, so we get bored. So we start showing you things you can do, and you go, oh my gosh, However, I just started publishing a video, embellishment in a minute. So we show you how we're doing colors and things like that in under a minute. Now, how long does it take to learn it? The key is, that's a great question, because if you know how to use Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign, by watching a few of our short videos, you can start using our tools. That's the good news.
Really,
We have a great manual. Nobody reads it. And I've seen other manuals that nobody reads too. When we do ours in 133 languages, it doesn't matter either. And even what we've done is done videos. We do short little videos now of all our different effects. So you don't watch a long video. You don't spend an hour. You say, here's 3 minutes. I want to do it. And we give them tips and tricks. And we found that to be very beneficial. And then we actually do subtitles underneath that in 10 languages. See, that's the other thing too. We all keep thinking, and one thing, I've been to a lot of conferences, and I went to Drupal last year where you and I talked about this. There's a lot of people who don't speak English natively. And that's one thing we started from day one. Everything we've done has been in 7 languages. Now with digital, all these tools available, we're doing translation in Google Translate. We're in 133 languages. Even when I used to pay for it to be done by somebody and I didn't know if it was right, I still don't know if it's right, but we're trying.
Yeah, and actually there's some AI that's good for translation other than maybe Google.
Yep.
Right.
But we're using those new tools too. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, and unfortunately, everybody has short attention deficit disorder. So the short videos where you could see are actually pretty good, and then I guess they just get in touch with you after if they want to know more or go in depth, right?
Absolutely. And then actually, we've actually got a masterclass tutorial. So if you want to go in depth, we have another level. And then we also have tips and tricks to show you when we've gotten some great questions from people that we think other people ask. We have all that. So, and a lot of that doesn't even deal with what our tools are. Somebody wanted to do security printing with micro embossment or something. So we came up with a 4 or 5 minute video. We had to learn how to do it. Then we showed them, and then we made it metallic.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty fun. Cool. What do you see as growth going forward? Like embellishments is in digital, or the additional colors on some of these digital presses?
Sure.
Like,
well, I tell you that.
Do you see your customers putting them in and or movement and it going up or down?
The number of engines out there now today is increased several fold, right? There's more engines out there than ever. We support 150 different digital print engines models, okay? Because we might be the third model on something from Ricoh, or the second one from Xerox, or the third one from Fuji, whatever it is, right? So I consider those all. Plus, we're also large format. Also, I just bumped into this little company that prints on cans, So the opportunities are just very large because it is a niche market, but that niche is not going away. I think that niche is growing because their brands they're bigger brands. They're not going to switch over. I'm sorry, the big ones, but they're coming out with smaller brands that are targeting, again, not me, not my age. They're targeting the Gen X, the millennials, and that type of thing. And now they can come out with shorter runs, which plays into what you just said about, hey, and how about trial markets? Digital lets brands try a trial market.
Absolutely.
In a region, in a country, with all the language issues, that people don't even think about in the U.S.
No, I think digital for that is great, and for change ups and whatnot. But I don't think digital's great for the end consumer market when you've got volume stuff. It's good. The packaging,
not at this stage.
The packaging, the turnaround, everything involved is too much.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not going to change. So
what we have seen, by the way, just so in relation to that, we're seeing on the Flexo market that it's going hybrid. So what they'll do is they'll take a foil unit in the front or a Flexo white, and they run into a digital so they can use some of the variations that digital provides. So we're seeing hybrid come up quite often now in that market. And we're also seeing it on offset with foiling units. So they're in the front and printing on top.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's definitely a good way to go. And it's economical, right? Yep. Especially if you're doing, your 100, 200, 300,000, thousands of boxes and silver on there. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So, okay. So I wasn't going here yet, but I'm going now. The gear and the investment. Okay. What does your software cost the average company?
Sure. The average we sell, our pricing at retail price is $8,500 to $10,000. You're all in. Lifetime license, lifetime site license.
Sorry, no annual licensing fee?
After we built 2 years in there, and after that, we charge a maintenance fee of $525, which has been the same amount since we started the company.
For the year or the month?
For a year. After the first 2 years, You got it for the 10,000 is a high end.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So that's
525 a year.
so it's basically inexpensive.
Yeah, because you know what? This industry has been very good to me. Okay. And it's been very good to Richard, my business partner. We look at it as business owners. I'd rather present something to the owner because I'm a small business owner, because I have people trying to sell me stuff all the time too. Right. So that's the way we started it. And I just got one customer who I started talking to in 2011. They finally just bought, they got a brand new offset press, and he just bought our system, and he started laughing. He goes, a lot of things haven't changed. You know, he was talking about pricing.
Yeah, no, well, so offset, what comes to mind is a lot of the big packaging guys out there have figured out in offset how to get most every color using 6 colors, right? They're avoiding the PMS and the extra color because the big packaging guys that are doing volume, they don't want the machine to stop. They're just putting in robot sheets and they're coming out and everything's like automated, which is pretty cool. And this has been around for a long time. I'm thinking, I wish I knew, or if your software probably wasn't where we were at then at the time, but had it been available, had I known. So for anyone listening, what I'm about to say, it is available. And from a cost perspective, you really want to try it because you don't have to commit. If you have a machine that has the 5th color, you don't need to go invest in a new machine right away to use it. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and tens and 20s of thousands of dollars to get it. I highly recommend, for the money, it's worth trying. Train your people, a bunch of them, really easily on it. And what is 10 grand in the world we live? You probably make bigger mistakes a couple months.
Yeah.
But don't get sucked into, and this is the print owner talking, right? But don't get sucked into the OEMs with everything they have to tell you. Make sure you investigate this stuff on your own. Make sure you try, make sure you call. Try to speak to people that aren't the best customers that the OEMs are give you, because we all know they're not going to give you someone who's not good.
Yeah.
But show me some samples.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring, I'm glad you brought up samples. One thing I found at Drupa when you and I met, we were having a few drinks at the pub, and we were talking about things, is I was talking to customers who had a certain model of engine and they're getting ready to buy the new one, right? And I had them coming up to me, the press manufacturers, bringing them up to us and saying, well, they haven't used it much, so can you tell them why they should buy the new engine? Oh, well, I asked them, I said, well, what have you done? What have you done? And every one of them came back and said, we really haven't done that much because we didn't have time, so we're trying to help our customers, and we're down and having employees, and we couldn't even bring enough people here that we normally do at Drupa. So the one thing we have done as our company, besides just, hey, here's the software, thank you for your money, and here's your support, is we found out we needed to provide samples. So we provide 200 press-ready marketing files with 300 SKUs that any printer, and they're all different applications, packaging, label, greeting cards, you name it, we got something. And that way it gets the printer started with their marketing, because they buy a press, they get it installed, right? What do? All print starts with design. They don't do anything until somebody designs a file.
So all that to say, now I'm going to say something else to the printers that are listening coming from a printer. Don't buy anything expensive with a long-term commitment without doing your homework first, without having a bit of a marketing plan, without a playbook, without knowing what you plan to do. And I can help you with that if you want to call me, and please do call me, because I would help you and charge you. But do not do anything without it. Do not let an OEM convince you. I don't care if it's the end of the month, the end of the corner, if they're throwing everything at you because they just want you to buy the machine. If you do that, you're screwed. Okay? Yep. You do not try to figure out, once the machine is on the floor, whatever it is, what you're going to do. You take your time and you figure out beforehand what you're going to do, be it samples. And if you're buying Mark stuff, I mean, when we had the machines, I spent $1,000 with designers creating imagery for samples. So you have that now. The OEMs are good. We need them. They make some good equipment. Hopefully they back it all up. But what the OEMs will not do and cannot do, if they tell you that they could do it, they can't help you with your marketing because they can't help every customer that asks. So if the salesperson says that he won't, and don't let that be a pitch. Call me first. But really do your homework. Life is expensive. Business is not easy these days. Don't make critically bad mistakes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's that's wow.
Yeah.
What do you see?
And that's the feedback we got from the printers, right? They needed samples, and they do need education, they do training, all that. However, if you don't have something to drop off, you don't get in the door. Everybody asks, there's one thing different about Color-Logic than maybe the press manufacturers, okay? Besides, we don't make presses, and they don't make software, hopefully, right now. Who knows? But what happens is we call on brands. That's how I started the company. This is my envelope. This is my newest one. Now, I can tell you this. They do not forget the envelope. They remember the envelope. I hate it when I have to use some of the plain folders I use, so I actually stick a lot of labels on the outside to get people excited. But what happened is I did my first envelope. I had a beautiful label on the front. It was a white envelope. I had a beautiful label. And the woman from Western States Envelope came up to me at a show and says, I love your samples. Your label stinks in your envelope. And so she helped me get started in this whole path of making a great envelope. But that's the key point. The other point is marketing files. I want to show you something from Offset. This is one of the first customers that bought our system. This is an offset press. So this is metallic substrate with white.
Sorry, can I ask the manufacturer of the press?
The manufacturer of the press, this is probably on a Heidelberg.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a Heidelberg or KBA or one of the big boys, you know, a good one. This is not good. And what they did is they said it's a jungle out there, right? I won't do it justice. And they put this little thing in here. But what I want you to look at is, look what they did. I mean, that is a marketing piece. And then on the back, they have it's a snake.
Cool. And do you know how they printed that?
Offset, UV.
So you offset, they had, what were they laying down first? And then they ran CMYK?
Green and white with our technology and CMYK on top.
That's it?
That's a 5-color job. It's the finishing, though, really. Come on. This is what's great, what you just talked about. It's not just the printing. Look at the finishing. That's a
no. I'm saying, but I'm stuck more on the color, and it's 4-color plus a screen of white.
Yeah.
Like, open that up again and turn it.
It's a 5-color job.
Yeah, like wow.
I love it. It was great marketing. I mean,
so hang on. So 4-color, so that you could do on digital with the white, and then maybe
absolutely
just coat a UV after to give you that effect.
Yep, that was all in line. And then they had to, obviously cut it and fold it and glue it. Yeah, but that's what's great. Let me show you something on.
Sure, show me something else.
How about this puppy? UV inkjet, large format, one piece.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
It looks like it's got dimension to it, right? Everything. That's just one pass, white plus CMYK on a metallic stock.
It's amazing because we used to print on some of our machines metallic stock when we were doing the acrylic face mounts for photographers.
Yes.
What's amazing is what happens when you lay ink down on some silver.
Well, yeah. And look, this is where we used digital before we did something for the Reels thing. That was done on a digital press. Very simple, very elegant.
Wow.
How about this puppy? This is done on a 2-pass on a digital press 12 years ago or 10 years ago. Because the white was in the last unit. The white was in the last unit. So we had to pass it through to get the white.
CMYK.
We had to run white first and then refeed it through the press.
So it was a 4-color unit, the press, and they changed 1 or 5 units?
For whatever reason, when they started, the white was always at the end. You couldn't put it in the first unit. After they talked to us, it's now in the first unit. But look at that.
Wow.
So yeah, I tell you, it's amazing what's out there. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, when we used to do different things, and I say it all the time, you know, we used to make samples and send people out into the field, not to ask for quotes, just to drop stuff off. And if you're listening, two things happen when you drop off samples. Number one, the people get to know you, and number two, they will remember you because they keep it, especially when you know your competitors are doing nothing.
Yep.
So you could always be one step ahead of the other printer by dropping off samples until they all get smart. In our industry, we're not that quick to get that smart so fast.
Yep.
So you got some right there.
Just one of our customers. I don't think he'll mind, Charlie. This is their color book. The thing about it, we let them print their color book, so our name is on it, but it's their system. So they put their name on it, and that's done. This is with the silver ink, by the way. This is a high volume, high pigmented silver ink.
So basically, anyone who buys your system, and if you're listening and you go into the system through him or through the OEMs, don't mess around. Go make a sample book right away with your name on it and let people know what you could.
By the way, we give you the layout. All you have to do is cut it.
And you give the layouts.
Yeah. All the packaging files, everything else, they're all set up for XY tables or die cut.
So what don't you do for the customer?
You know, our team does a great job. Not me, but Richard and his team do a great job because he came from pre-press and design and printing, and he knows what printers have time for. Nothing other than to help their customers. So we're trying to help them not only do that, but then take what that press is capable of doing and showing them what's possible to drive new business with higher margin. Because if you're, you know, it's like this. I tell everybody who buys a brand new digital or conventional press, if you're not going to change what you did, you're basically driving home to the office, right? So why did you buy that? You know, if you're just going to keep driving from home to the office, you're not going to get lost. Where we come in, we're like an Uber app, right? We're the little app that you can give it to any designer and they can start feeding your press more. And guess what? They just get in your car and they're going to drive you because they did the design. You just drew what you do best. Drive that car. You know?
Wow. Do you have competition out there?
Everybody got competition. People,
no, I mean, okay, so who's your competition? And then I'll ask another question.
There are designers who can do what we do. I don't think they can do it in the time we can do or the predictability.
Okay, but if there's designers who could do what you do with what you have set up, no one could do it as quickly then, even if they're using your system.
I can just tell you this. We have some of the largest brands in the world using our technology. And if they could do it faster without us, they would have. And then we also have some of the smallest. I can tell you, when you want to add metallic into an image or some of the things we do, it's 1 or 2 mouse clicks predictably. But more importantly is it's a system. So we print our color charts and that test form thing I showed you, right? So basically on 3 sheets on a digital press, I characterize that digital press. So you calibrate it, print those 3 sheets, give that to any designer, and they can start designing for that press. And they'll get those results if it worked on the test form. I call this our test form. I should have called it our effects test form. But if you I printed it bigger for me because I'm old. But basically, if these effects work off the press, you can give this to a designer, and when they want to do dimensional effect, it'll work. So we did a lot of designs for trade shows. I don't want to go into individual brands, but do you see that clock back there?
I do.
The calendar. We made that and we sent it to the printer. They produced it without making a proof. They just went and printed it because we had already had the sheets from their press. We do this with our partners all the time. I went to a show with one of our printing press manufacturers. He was a little scared. He was putting a new press on the floor. Hadn't seen it yet, just landed, going to a major trade show. And when we started printing at the show, guess what? He goes, I didn't believe you. I go, wow. It works. It works.
Wow.
But we did have FX Viewer. We were viewing the files before we were printing them. Yeah.
No, well, you have that. Like, does Adobe have anything in their suite that does this stuff?
Adobe, well, you know what? Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, what we do, they don't do yet. But what happens is we want people to use what you can do inside of Illustrator or Adobe. Like if you want to create all these layers, we have a guy with Marvel Comics that creates 250 layers. We make it metallic with one mouse click. So we love Adobe. They're a good partner.
Wow. Wow.
But you know, who knows what they might come up with.
Maybe I could broker a deal between you and them. You know, we could talk about that later.
Yeah.
That's so I want to go back to printers. How many printers do you see that buy your software or receive it through the OEMs that don't use it?
You know, it's hard for us to tell because once they have our system, they have it, right? They don't have to talk to us. I mean, I got customers that do renewals of the maintenance now. I got a lot of them have been 15 years, right? A lot of them 13 years,
Wow.
12 years. So I really can't answer it properly. I will tell you this. I personally follow up with everybody who orders a license, whether it's from the OEM or us. We send them a handwritten card. Then I follow up with them an email, and I introduce myself, and we're here to help you. And I got to tell you, it's amazing how many of them don't respond. I was shocked, quite frankly.
Really?
Yeah, I'm amazed.
And this you're sending to the owners?
To whoever we were given by. Now, if we sold it, we know who the owner is. When we're dealing with the OEMs, we might not know the right person. But I'll tell you this: I've got customers I've never met who have been using this for 13 years or 14 years.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just a little bit of awe when you send a note like that. Nobody responds because if you're one of those people and you don't respond, all you're doing is hurting yourself going down because you're not making for a great relationship.
60% of our business is outside the United States. And I can tell you, people in Latin America, when we send a thank you down there, that's who we get a response from. Thank you. That was very nice. By the way, the card is embellished. We practice.
I hope so.
Practice even our letterhead is metallic. That's the one thing I can tell you. Practice what you preach. If you're a print owner, I've been to, and like you probably have too, Warren. I'm sorry if I'm preaching, but at my age, I got more road behind me than in front of me. If you're a printer and you've invested, use it for yourself, for your own files, for your own business card. And if you don't have a business card, please print one and don't do it at Kinko's. I'm sorry. By the way, I can't say PIP because we have 3 or 4 PIP printers doing our technology.
Right.
But we don't have any Kinko's yet, so maybe that'll come. Who knows?
Well, now Kinko should be. No, but you know what? First of all, there's, you say business cards. So, we happen to know from Tactful Serve that the #1 use for embellishment is business cards. I don't know that I would build a business around business cards anyways, because you still need a lot of orders even to get some profitability. But if you are a printer, and I've seen this lately in a lot of places, and you don't have a business card, you should get out of the business. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're doing an injustice to you. You're doing an injustice to, listen, it's everywhere. I've got them in my drawer. You're doing injustice to yourself. Hey, and my card embellished and everything too.
Yep.
All I know is when I give somebody a card, even if they're going to throw it after, the comment is, "Oh my, that's a really nice card. Oh, what's that for?" So if you're just your business cards, make that first everlasting impression. And by the way, I just want to point out, card, it's beautiful. CMYK, 2 sides, no pink.
Yep. I got to tell you a good one on this. Hopefully he's watching. Guy by the name of Howard Owens out of Maryland area. Howard, I love Howard. So here's what he does. He has 3, by the way, there's my small business card. There's my larger business card. And if I'm going into a large format printer, I use this card.
Oh my God, I love it.
But show people what's possible, right? But anyway, coming back to Howard, he does a great job. So he has a metallic, a varnish, and something else. Whatever he has capability of, he has it. I think it was foiling. And he puts all 3 of them out when he goes in to visit with a client, in which whatever one they grab is his talk track.
Howard, it's a great idea if you're listening to this. Thank you. I'm going to suggest to people.
Give people credit who do it. Smart guy. Smart.
Yeah,
guy.
you know what? We're talking color. So the one thing I liked about Pantone, although I didn't like the price of the samples, what I did like is when you bump into their people, they all have different cards like yours with all the different color palettes. And
Yeah.
it just makes it fun um, to see and give something to talk about, right?
Yeah.
We in print should always be doing something or handing something out or giving something to someone that can, create a conversation could be created from it. You want to get somebody to pique their interest in, hey, how'd you do that?
Oh,
Or this and that. I think one of our biggest downfalls in the world of print, aside from not listening and moving quick enough on certain things, is we don't do what we know we should do, and that is market more.
yeah.
In every way.
By the way, since you brought up pink, I'd be remiss to tell you about our Touch 7 technology, which is basically everything we just
Go
told
ahead.
you about.
It's your time. Go ahead.
No, it's really everything that you just saw. It's a color system. We allow you to print it. So take one pink. We have you do 390 neon and pastel colors with one pink on the press. And we have a Photoshop tool to add the pink into the image with one mouse click. Because everybody forgets about images. Everybody does vector.
Sorry, can you say that all again? I just heard one click, really easy, doesn't take a lot of time, 300 and something versions.
So vector color for each neon or pastel color, we have 195 pastels and we have 195 expanded gamut. So you have 390 colors with each neon ink or toner. Vector color. What happens though, we have a Photoshop tool that will add the neon into the image with one mouse click without any manual masking. And people forget it's a system. Again, you can't forget about images because that's half of what you're doing.
Right.
So we do that for ECG and we do it for the neon and fluorescent colors by the press manufacturers. And, look at the hair behind me. You see that? That was off a printer. That was using pink to make that orange.
I'm jealous. I would love to have pink hair like that.
My hair used to be that color, except I had my daughter, and that's what happens. She's great, but she's impossible.
You have to change it.
Yeah.
So if you're a printer listening, why wouldn't you try this? Man, one color pink canister from an OEM, and you could turn it into 392 shades.
Yeah. Yeah. And
at the very least, buy the software, make sample books, and drop them off with designers. Do a mailing to a designer. Offer them a free samples if they design something for you. Create a little contest. I'm sure the designers would love to do something if they, in return, could have something back for it. Great way to build relationships.
By the way, you said samples. I'm just going to show you here. I'm panning from that's our sample. That's only part of what we do.
That's your sample basement.
That's my basement. But the one thing I want printers to not forget about, you're helping your customers with campaigns. Don't think of this, cut sheet device, if that's what you just bought. Think about the large format, because when you want to sell them the label or the carton or the wedding invitation, you want to sell them the POP too. So this is on a large format.
What kind of large format press?
UV inkjet. Large format UV inkjet. Metallic stock. It's actually a vinyl. I adhered it to a stock so I could, make it cheap.
Would that be like a Swiss Q?
Could be a Swiss Q. Could be anything from EFI, the Vutex, those kind of engines, AGFA, etc.
Yeah, I just think of Swiss Q because I've seen a lot of stuff and they're pretty much on fire with the embellishments and colors.
They're the one that did the calendar up there for me.
So they're doing a good job out there.
Some of those engines, by the way, can be good for short run production. They're big enough. If you're doing labels, you can do labels on those, or short run cartons, or again, prototyping, etc. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of clients doing that. And by the way, I forgot to talk to you. We've been talking cut sheet. What about label presses? So this is a UV label press, one pass metallic stock with white plus CMYK. That's embellishment. And the only reason I say it's embellishment because we do our underlay, but also because it's UV, there's a chemical reaction that happens between the white ink and the metallic substrate that gives you like a an
So
elevation.
it's like a reticulation of some sort.
It's actually an elevation. So it's sort of like what
Elevation.
you're, yeah, not very high, but it's pretty
You
neat.
could,
I
you could
mean,
have agreed with me with the word reticulation. It was the one word I learned when we had the KBA and we were doing spot and gloss and
I don't
you
use anything I
know,
can't spell. I'm a farm boy.
actually, that's fair. That's yeah, fair enough. I don't know if I had to spit, it would be that easy. I'd give you the phonetic version of it.
By the way, this is one thing we did too. We did magnets one year. We put this onto vinyl and we adhered it. And I thought it was a great idea. And I kept going around to the trade shows. Like, here's a certified press. Everybody's gone to plastic on the presses. So now I got to go and get something else.
Yeah, really, eh? Well, it's kind of like the fridges today don't take the same magnets that they used to, or any. You got to
Not
put
at
them on the
all.
side because everybody's gone with that silver aluminum or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well, like I said, there's so many things. And again, it's large format. It's great what's going on there. They're adding, like you just said, Swiss Q and others. They're coming out with other inks. But they also have the ability to do, a lot of them now have the ability to add texture to those printouts. You know, several of them do. And they also have the ability now to put a matte or a gloss.
Right.
So it's pretty, let's put it this way. I'm not bored. I'm not unhappy. And every day we wake up and see what has somebody developed with inks or something. And we go and say, how can we help the designer and printer get there predictably without having mistakes or waste? That's our goal.
Yeah, no, I think in very interesting times. There's a lot of technology that's coming out, that's going to change and keep coming. I love it all. I just worry about the print company making the right decisions and then doing the right things after the decision's been made. If the decision was to purchase something, if your decision was not to buy, nothing to do but just go back to your business, work on it, and figure out how to make it really good so that when you are ready to buy, you know move ahead. If you are buying, it's a hard thing for me, to the printers. Have a plan beforehand. Have a marketing plan. Have something where you know what you're going to do. Why? Really simply because when that machine comes in, no matter how much money the OEM threw at you at the last minute, get it in before the end of the month or the quarter, right? When it's in on the floor, that monthly bill comes around really fast. And when you don't have an order or any revenue that's come in as the next bill comes, that's when you start to feel that. And when you start to feel that, then you're not thinking rationally anymore. And every decision you make after is going to be catch up or survival. So don't put yourself in a survival mode when it comes to embellishments, colors, or any equipment. Know that you need to have a plan. And for that, you can call me.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I can agree with it. And the other thing, too, is when you put the press in, don't let the manufacturer walk out until you start printing samples for what the press can do.
Don't sign that sheet no matter how much pressure they put on you, because until you sign that sheet, you are in control. After you sign that sheet, I hope you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a 5 or 7 year lease, right?
Yep.
It should be good. Yeah, so we're going to do this again just because we're running to the top of the hour, and there's so much more to talk about. Additional colors and metallics and embellishments and selling it and then charging for it and all that stuff. But I just thought that it was important to get you on the show because your software is really cheap, not cheap, but inexpensive compared to what the next level of investment is. And I really think that people should be looking at everything and making really smart, educated financial decisions.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And like you always should do, is I just want to say thank you. And by the way, this is the thank you card I send to our large format customers who buy, because you send it to them for the printing process they purchased.
Yeah. And by the way, when you reach out to them and they bought a machine, they feel good. They're being noticed.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
The next step is to be noticed by their customers. And then that also just quickly comes down to your salespeople. You know your salespeople. You know the ones that are going to be good at it, that could talk it. Don't let the ones that are not good with it go out with it, talk about it, and destroy it. Make sure you keep everything at the highest level of quality, deliverability, service, help, call it what you want. Just make their experience great, and that will keep them coming back, because what we want to do is charge more for everything that we do, right? If you
Yep.
make money, you could spend money. And if you're making money, you could buy Mark stuff, no problem.
Yeah. One thing my customers tell me, and it's the ones I know very well, what they say is, we lead with you. But he goes, it's amazing how many of our jobs just turn out to be regular CMYK jobs afterwards. But you got us in the door because going in and saying, I'm a quality printer, just in time delivery, I got great people, da, da, da. Guess what? Those are all check marks. Those people who don't do that already are gone.
Well,
So
those
the
are
good
given,
news
yes.
is you got to differentiate yourself. And I don't care how, but our industry needs it. And we need young people to come into it. So, get into those schools. If you're having a hard time finding people, go to the design school and hire a designer to come work at your organization, because they're starving artists. And I've seen some of the press manufacturers do this recently. They've gone and hired designers and taught them how to operate the equipment.
Listen, digital equipment, I'm going to say digital equipment could be like a video game, right? It's not like an offset press and all the other bigger variables. I mean, you got a lot of stuff to learn, don't get me wrong. But I forget where I was, where there was an older gentleman working on a machine who said to me 6 months ago, I was working in a fast food chain. And, there's a lot of smart people out there. So give people opportunity, try them out, see what you get. It doesn't take much. You'd be surprised. And you know what? People that aren't in our industry, to bring them in, it's a good thing. We could use a little change and a little mix up.
Yeah, I met one of our customers recently from Australia. I brought the average age up to 32.
No, that's good. That's good. I get away with it because I stay out later than them when I meet with them and we go out. So it's, and then I'm first one at the meeting. Before we check out, is there anything you'd like to say? A few minutes, something to anybody?
Well, quite frankly, I love the industry and I love the people. And that's one thing that Howard and I don't agree on everything, by the way, but that's one thing we do agree upon. And I think that's probably why I've stayed in it and why you're doing what you're doing, trying to help the industry too. So I appreciate that. But no, that's really it. It's quite simple, is get out there and do something. That's the only thing I can tell you, is don't meditate. Don't sit there and pondulate. Get a hold of Warren or get a hold of whoever you got to get a hold of if you don't have an idea what to do, because that's the key. I don't disagree at all. You can buy the machine, but if you buy the machine and think they're going to come, you're nuts. You're nuts, because they don't know what's possible. And don't forget just trying to put pressure on your salesman. You got to think about how to get to the designer, how to get to the agency, how to get to those creative people, because they're the ones that start things. Because I want you to think about this. You buy the press. Is there anything that ever came off your press that wasn't designed first? No. So guess what?
Possible. Not possible.
So guess where you got to start? If you're going to get an embellishment, you got to get past that. Oh, we're going to do the same stuff we've always done. That ain't going to work. That I can guarantee you 100%.
Oh, for sure. No, that's good. Oh my God, I just had a great idea. If you're out there listening and you want to get a digital press that has the extra color, the fifth color, but you're not sure, it's a big deal for you. Find someone, a local competitor or other printer, maybe you don't compete, that has that fifth color. And if he has the fifth color, maybe you could sit down with him and make a deal with him where you're going to bring Color-Logic software to him. And now he gets to do that, but he could do stuff for you. And now you have that, full well knowing that eventually you're going to go and get your own press. But it's just another way to try to do things and adding value and building a partnership with somebody else where you're bringing something to the table, not just sales, but some software, and you could teach something, or her. Can't discriminate anymore, say that always. But that would be another way to get in, because even when I was doing things, I was a lot of trade people first to make sure that I had enough revenue of something before I get in.
Yep.
Right? Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that because we're going to talk about this again. Mark, I'll appreciate chatting with you and, learning some of the opportunities that we have if we listen. And the amount of colors you have is off the chart. So again, everybody call Mark. Everybody else, if you made it this far, oh my God, I am so grateful. If there's anything that you want to hear, let me know. If you want to be on, let me know. If you want me to talk to someone else, let me know. All I can tell you is love print. Can't get out of it. Best tree in the world. Everybody needs us, whether they like it or not, right? So selling should be easy if you're passionate and you believe it. That's it for now. I love print, and we'll catch you on the next edition. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.